I am 81 years old, and I am sitting in a house that is very quiet now. It was not always quiet. Or maybe it was, and I was never home long enough to notice. I want to tell you something, not because I think it will change anything for me. It won't. But because I have been sitting with this for a long time, and I think if I say it out loud, or whatever this is, maybe it will land somewhere useful, maybe with someone who still has time to do something with it. I spent 40 years in a career I never loved. I want to be careful how I say that, because I do not want you to think I was miserable every day. I was not. There were good days. There were promotions and handshakes and moments where I thought, yes, this is it. This is what it was all for. But those moments were thin, and they never lasted, and I kept expecting the next one to feel more real than the last. It never did. I started working in administration, mid-level government work. Budget planning, resource allocation, things that mattered in the sense that they kept systems running but did not matter in any way I could feel at the end of the day. I took the job because it paid well, and because my father nodded when I told him about it. That nod. I have thought about that nod more times than I can count. I was 24. I thought I was being responsible, and I was, in the way that a person can be responsible and also quietly lost at the same time. The years did not feel like years when I was inside them. They felt like weeks. Monday would come, and then it was Friday, and then the quarter would end, and then my daughter was in 2nd grade, and then she was in high school, and I kept thinking, I will slow down when things settle. I will take that trip. I will learn that thing I always wanted to learn. I will sit with my wife on a Sunday and not think about the week ahead. Things did not settle. They never do. I see that now. The settling I was waiting for was not a season that was coming. It was a choice I kept not making. My wife, Eleanor, she used to ask me sometimes, not in a fighting way, more in a tired way. She would ask me what I actually wanted. Not what we needed, not what made sense. What did I want? And I would say something about stability, about the kids' futures, about the mortgage. She would nod and go back to whatever she was doing, and I always felt like I had given the right answer. I was proud of my right answers. She passed away 6 years ago, lung disease. It came fast, once it came, and I remember sitting in the hospital room near the end, holding her hand, and she was not conscious, and I was thinking, I do not know how to explain this without it sounding like a cliché, but I was thinking about all the Sundays, all the specific Sundays I had spent with paperwork at the kitchen table while she read in the other room. I was 20 feet away from her for 30 years. And I was somewhere else. That is when I understood something that I cannot unlearn. The career was not what I gave my life to. It was what I gave my life instead of. I retired at 67. I thought I would feel relief. Some people do, I hear. For me, it felt like walking into a room where a party had ended. The glasses were still on the table. The lights were still on. But everyone had gone home already. I did not know who I was without the job. That sounds like something people say, a recognizable kind of confession. But I mean it in a very plain, practical way. I did not have hobbies I had maintained. I did not have close friends I had kept. My children were grown and living in other states, and they called on birthdays and sometimes in between. And those calls were warm but short. We were not strangers, but we were not as close as I think we could have been if I had shown up more when it was ordinary, when it was just a Tuesday and no occasion. My son told me once, he was in his 30s then, We were at dinner. He said, "Dad, I never really knew what you were thinking." I laughed when he said it. I said something like, "I am not that complicated." But he was not laughing. He was not being unkind either. He was just telling me something true. I did not know what I was thinking either. I had not asked myself in a very long time. The career gave me something to point to. It gave me an answer when people asked what I did. It gave me a reason to be tired, a reason to delay, a structure that felt like a life even when it was mostly just a schedule. I do not think I chose it maliciously. I do not think I was a bad person. I think I was afraid, and the job made the fear manageable, and I confused manageable with good. I want to tell you what is gone, not to make you feel sorry for me. I do not want that, but because I think people my age often say things like, "Appreciate what you have," and it lands flat. It sounds like a bumper sticker, and nobody really hears it. So let me tell you what is actually gone, specifically. Eleanor is gone. She is not somewhere I can reach. I cannot call her. I cannot sit across from her at the kitchen table, which is still there, same table, and tell her what I should have told her. I cannot take back the nights I came home late and ate dinner alone because she had already gone to bed. Those nights exist somewhere permanent where I cannot touch them. My children are grown and shaped. The version of them that needed me to be present, really present, that version is also gone. My daughter is 44. She is capable and kind, and she did not need me to build her. But I think sometimes about who we might have been to each other if I had been less distracted. That is a different kind of loss, harder to name. The years between 40 and 60, when I still had energy and Eleanor was healthy and the kids were becoming themselves, those years are gone. I spent them being productive. I have the records to prove it. I have no one to show them to. I have about 2,000 square feet and a cat and a neighbor who checks on me Tuesdays. I am not complaining. I made the life I made. I'm just telling you what it looks like from the inside. If you are younger than me, and most people are, I want to say something without telling you what to do, because I do not think that is my place. I spent a long time believing I would feel proud of my restraint. I thought, choosing work over leisure, choosing duty over desire, choosing the practical thing over the personal thing. I thought that was character. I thought I was building something, and maybe I was. But I built it in the wrong place. I built it in a career that retired me before I retired it, and the people I loved learned to live without waiting for me. And when I finally turned around to join them, they had already organized themselves around my absence. The work did not remember me. Nobody at the office thought about me after the goodbye lunch. That is not bitterness. That is just how it works. And it should have been obvious to me, but it wasn't, because I needed the work to be more than it was. So I let myself believe it. What I wish I had understood, and I'm not sure I could have understood it without living through it, which is the cruelest part, is that the ordinary moments are the life. I kept treating them like the space between the real moments. Sunday breakfast is not a gap between important things. It is the thing. Driving your kid to school and having nothing particular to say is the thing. Sitting with your wife while she reads a book you have no interest in. That is the thing. I missed so much of the thing. I am 81. My body does what 81-year-old bodies do. I sleep more than I used to, and I move more carefully than I used to, and sometimes I sit in the kitchen in the morning for a long time, without doing anything, just sitting. Eleanor used to do that. I used to walk past her on my way to the desk, thinking she was being idle. Now I understand she was doing something I had not learned to do yet. I am learning it now. It is a strange time to be learning it. I do not have a lesson to leave you with. Or I do, but it is not neat. It is just this. The things I treated as secondary were the primary things, and by the time I knew that, most of them were finished. That is all. That is the whole of it. If this settled in you somewhere, I am glad you sat with it. That is enough.